Hello and welcome to The Budget Mouse, a podcast that will help you have an incredible Walt Disney World vacation, even if you're on a shoestring budget. I'm Leah Althizer, creator of the websites The Budget Mouse and The Frugal South. I visit Disney World many times each year and have tons of tricks for doing Disney on the cheap. I want you to have the incredible vacation you deserve, so I'm sharing all of my tricks with you on my sites and here in the podcast. In this episode, we're talking to our travel agent Siera about her trip to Disney World in July 2020. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to episode 58. As you may know, I have been on hiatus from the podcast, and that was basically because I needed to regroup in my business. So this podcast is just one part of many things that I do for my business, which is my full-time job and pays the bills here. So I needed to kind of regroup and make a plan for how I was going to do that in the age of coronavirus, when basically all income related to my Disney content was gone. So I've been doing lots of recipes and DIY on my other site, The Frugal South. So thank you for listening and bearing with me as I took a break from the podcast, but I am back and I'm excited to share this interview with Siera Duiser, who is our incredible travel agent for The Budget Mouse. She is also an admin of The Budget Mouse Facebook group with me, and she books all of the trips for folks in the Facebook group and through my website. So I strongly encourage you to use her for any trip that you're planning in the future, whether that be a last minute trip for this year or planning for the future, 2021 and even beyond. And I truly think that after you hear her report from what her experience was at Disney World, that you're going to want to go. It even surprised me. I have a trip planned at the end of October and I'm a little lukewarm about it, but honestly, after I heard her experience there with her family, I am so excited to go. As you will hear, it is not all negatives there. There are many positives to traveling there during this era. I have put a link in the show notes to the form you can use to get in touch with Siera about getting her help in planning a trip, or you can just go to thebudgetmouse.com/quote, QUOTE. With no further ado, here is the interview. Well, thank you for talking to me today. And
absolutely, I'm excited.
Being back on the podcast.
It's been a while.
I know, and I really want to hear how your trip was, just like the overall impressions. And I think that's what most people want to know right now. It's like, is it magical? Is it worth going? What's it going to be like? Because it seems to be so different. So what was your overall impression? I mean, did it still feel like Disney World?
It did. We honestly had the best time. So I went by myself with my two kids, just the three of us. We usually try and go once, just the three of us in the summer. Daddy stays home and works and usually does a golf trip. And so the kids and I do Disney. And we actually had an absolutely magical time. We loved it. We all had fun. Obviously, we all had to wear the masks. And I was a little concerned because I had been taking my 3-year-old to Target just to kind of practice with the mask and keeping our hands to ourselves, because I felt like she needed that prep work, I guess. Because, we hadn't left the house. My son hadn't been in school. And so I'm just going to take her on an airplane, expect her to leave the mask on, not touch it, and then walk around all day in a theme park and not touch the mask. So the trips to, the grocery store and Target were okay. But we have tried a few different masks. Yeah. And actually, for some reason, she loves the ones with the ear loops. We've tried the net gaiters. We had even tried the ones that tied around her, thinking that would be more comfortable.
Yeah.
And finally, the regular ones with the elastic ear loops, she loved it. We got some Disney ones. My mother-in-law actually sewed her a little Anna and Elsa one. She loved it. She was so proud of it. And she did really great. And that was, I think, my biggest concern was, what if my 3-year-old can't do the mask, then I think can't do the parks.
I think that's everyone's biggest concern, honestly, from everything that I read, is they're like, gosh, are my kids going to be able to hack it in the masks?
Honestly, it went far better than I expected. And like I said, it even went better because it was important to me that we practice. So we had
Yeah.
been practicing at the grocery store for um probably maybe the end of May, like our official stay-at-home order got lifted. And once that stay-at-home got lifted, then it was like, okay, we'll make once a week trips out to the grocery store or something. And then, we would try, and I would even practice, holding our hands together so we don't touch everything on the shelf that we look at, so that, we're not touching every queue space and
Yes.
at the ride vehicles and all of that. And sorry, they're supposed to be playing outside and now they're going to come in.
Of course they are.
Right?
Well, that's good. I'm glad that the masks weren't such an issue. I think people were really concerned about and how were they comfort wise? Like I have seen that people are tending to prefer the like disposable paper ones in terms of comfort, but you guys did the cloth, like a sewn cloth mask all day, huh?
We did. And like I said, we'd actually bought the net gaiters and we're hoping to use those because they truly are so much cooler, just breathability.
Yeah.
But they're not allowed. Disney updated that between when they opened the hotels and when they opened the theme parks.
Right. Yeah.
Net gaiters are not allowed. So we did just the fabric masks with the ear loops. And honestly, it was far better than I expected. Just going to the grocery store was like, oh, this is hot. This is uncomfortable. But I feel like, especially at Disney, for the most part, you're in and out of the rides and the attractions. The majority of them are air conditioned. Mm-hmm. And even the ones with the outdoor queues, like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, they have the big fans scattered throughout. So, I mean, you're getting that blast of cooler air anyways. Yeah. And you can always stop and get a drink if you stop at a bench. Or they have relaxation stations scattered throughout all 4 parks.
Good. Talk to us about like the rules. So I know that you have to be sitting down and actively drinking or eating in order to take your mask off. You can't like stroll around sipping out of a cup or something and be like, oh, I'm drinking. Right.
Correct. Well, and that's where I guess my first day in the parks was July 21st. Obviously, they started reopening 10 days earlier on July 11th. And apparently the first couple days, that was a loophole people figured out was, as long as I'm eating and drinking, I can take my mask off. So I'm going to grab a Starbucks and walk around the park without my mask. And, I'm drinking, so I can do that.
Right.
Disney caught on and then adjusted the rules. So you must be stationary while eating and drinking to remove the mask.
That's good.
And like you said, you do have to be actively eating or drinking. Obviously, if you're within, a quick service restaurant or obviously a table service restaurant as well, remove the mask as soon as you're seated. You can keep it off, enjoy your meal, enjoy your time and break there. But like if you're just, stopping on a park bench or at a relaxation station, they do ask that you be eating or drinking to have the mask off. But they do have it socially distanced. Like I said, they have locations in all of the parks where you're welcome to do that. Or if you just find a park bench, there were people that would just stop on a bench, remove the mask, take their drink of water. Yeah. And it makes a big difference. It really does to, keep you cool, keep you hydrated. The masks do get hot. Obviously, it's summer in Florida. The heat index was over 100 most days. So it is important that you do remember to take those time for breaks.
Yeah. And how many relaxation areas were there, like in Magic Kingdom, for example? Roughly.
Magic Kingdom, I believe, has 3. They have one at Tomorrowland Terrace, so where they had the happily ever after dessert parties.
Cool, yeah.
That whole area is a relaxation station.
That's a big area, so that's good.
It is. It's nice. It's plenty of space, and then it's all, real tables, chairs, and because you're under the overhang, you aren't as exposed, so if it's raining or a warmer day, it's a lot more comfortable there. And then they had... I'm trying to think.
It's okay if you don't know where they were. I just wondered, was there just one per park or were they scattered around?
No, I would say there's at least 3 per park. They are scattered. So you definitely have options there. And you can almost always relatively easy get to one no matter where you are within a parks because there are multiple.
Nice. I feel like Disney's doing such a good job of making it as enjoyable as possible for everyone.
They are. And I mean, between the temperature checks to be able to get in,
Yeah.
the social distancing, the masks, I really did feel safe and comfortable. I wasn't concerned,
Yeah.
being there, taking my kids and what we were being exposed to, because I mean, they are taking so many precautions to keep guests both safe and even comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. Comfort too. Obviously, you're not going to have much fun if you're miserable. So,
Right.
so another thing I've been seeing a lot of is that wait times are really reasonable.
They are. So almost everything, the queue keeps moving.
Wow.
Obviously, there are no fast passes right now. The fast pass space in some places has been used for additional queue space. And so the lines almost always keep moving, and they are marked on the ground, whether it's indoor out or outdoor queues. They're constantly marked with your 6 feet of spacing.
Wow,
So
that sounds so great. I hate being so crammed into the
stinky
queues,
people who don't
Yeah.
shower, yeah, after a long day in the parks, like everybody's right on top of you. That
You
is all gone. So it's actually really, really nice.
gotta look on the bright side. I mean, there are a lot of
It is.
pluses to this.
I do agree. And it was kind of fun for my 3-year-old. Okay, let's find your next spot. And so, she's
Yeah.
looking on the ground and okay. And so, I mean, some of them are much more than 6 feet apart, because depending on how the queue is set up, on certain spaces where you really can't avoid each other, and they have the lines, like the zigzag right next to each
Oh,
other,
yeah.
they did install like plexiglass plastic
Oh, cool.
between the queues there. And others, they'll actually skip rows, so like you'll fill in a whole line, and then there won't be any social distancing markers for you to stand in the row next to you, so you'll have to wait for that whole next area to clear, and then you'll go, so that you're still keeping your distance.
Oh,
So
that's clever. I
it
knew
kind
they'd
of
be
keeps the
so
little ones
smart.
occupied, like, okay, let's watch, let's keep our next space, where's your next space to move. And
Yeah.
it keeps them busy in the
Yeah.
relatively short lines as well, so that the 10-15 minutes you might wait, you're pretty much
Yeah.
walking, and okay, let's move to our next spot, and
Wow.
then you're there and on the attraction.
That is really fun. Now, I know on some of the attractions, they're leaving like every other ride vehicle open. On some, they're
Yep.
doing every one because it's spaced out anyway. Like Peter Pan's flight is like already spaced out 6 feet apart. So that's
Spoke,
cool.
yep.
All kinds of things they're figuring out.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't close to anybody on any of the attractions or anything.
Great.
On the Kilimanjaro Safari ride vehicles, if you haven't seen a picture of those,
Uh-uh.
they've installed almost like plastic tarps in between every row. They still didn't even fill every row on our vehicle.
Huh.
But they have that between as dividers between, so that I guess in theory they could fill every row.
Can you see through them?
Yep, they're clear plastic, completely
Yeah.
clear plastic.
Oh,
I have a
nice.
picture. If you want me to send it to you, you can even put it in the
Yeah,
show notes or
I
something.
would. I will.
Yeah.
I'll put it at least on the Facebook group and somewhere. I can put it in the blog post that's connected to this podcast episode too, so people can see. Yeah, they're just, I know so much thought went into the process of reopening and how to keep people safe and still keep the magic. So was it weird not being able to see the cast members' faces and stuff? I mean, that's the thing with the mask wearing, is I feel like I can't read people as well.
Um, Not really. A lot of the cast members actually are wearing face masks and face shields.
Oh, wow.
Just to keep everybody safe. I mean, they're still in their costumes, so I mean, otherwise they still look completely as they always have.
Yes, good.
But I feel like you can almost still see it in their eyes. They seem so happy and grateful to be
Yeah,
back to work.
absolutely.
They want to be there. They want us as the guests to be there, and they want us to enjoy it and have a good time. And I think just in their attitude and their interactions, it's so visible that they want that magic for their guests still, and they're so happy and kind to offer that to us.
Yay, I know, bless them. Yay for being there. Now, tell us about the special character things going on, because you can't meet and greet with the characters at this point, because obviously that would involve like the kids hugging them and getting autographs and touching things and what have you. But from what I've seen, there's still a lot of character presence in the parks.
I loved characters. I thought that was probably the
Good.
most magical part. I thought it was awesome.
How neat.
Um, we saw characters in all of the parks, and some of the parks had some more unique characters. So I definitely thought Magic Kingdom was most plentiful with characters. So
Mhm.
they have Mickey and Minnie, and Donald and Daisy and Pluto coming out on a little I don't think we're supposed to call it a parade float, but it's essentially a
Yeah.
parade float that they bring them through um, quite frequently. And so they come out in Frontierland and they come through all the way down Main Street and exit at the end of Main Street. And there's music, there's performers that actually dance and move along with it.
Nice.
And that's a lot of fun. That's constantly coming out. We've seen the princesses both on, again, parade floats coming down that route and also up at the top of the train station.
Oh, neat.
We saw Gaston out talking to guests outside of Enchanted Tales with Belle. The attraction isn't open right now, but Gaston was out talking with people. We've seen Anastasia and Drizella mic'd up talking to guests on the top of Cinderella Castle on the
Oh,
backside, like outside of the restaurant.
funny. Oh, I love
They're
them.
hilarious, talking about how somebody else needed to pull the sword out of the stone because they needed some new leadership. The mice were out of control in the kingdom, and so they wanted to get somebody else in there. I mean, they're always a great time, and obviously you can't see them at 1900 Park Fair right now, so it's a lot of fun to see them. Um, Hollywood Studios is doing a character cavalcade as well. They have a couple different ones. So they have one with the Pixar characters where you can see Edna Mode, The Incredibles, um, Woody and Jesse, and Buzz Lightyear. Buzz and Edna Mode are on Cars. They have one with Mickey and Minnie and Friends, and then they also have a Disney Junior one. So if you have little ones, you can still see the Disney Junior characters.
Well,
So
sounds
Florence and
awesome.
Nancy walks out first, and then you have Doc McStuffins and Vampirina following behind in cars that they've decorated Chevy Camaros to kind of match the theming of the characters. So they're really cute, and they play the music. And so that's a lot of fun. Epcot has done, we've seen a couple different character cavalcades there as well. We've seen Mickey and Friends, and we've also seen the princesses. And then we also saw Winnie the Pooh and Joy both out in the garden area. And so with them, because they're kind of just wandering in the gardens, you can still stop and take a selfie or, you know, have somebody else take your picture on the opposite side of the fence or the gate, and you can still have the character behind you. Obviously, it's not, they're more than their 6 feet distance.
Yeah.
But you can still get character pictures, and that's a lot of fun.
I like that. I saw the picture you posted of Winnie the Pooh like walking around in the grass at Epcot and like
And sometimes
waving.
he
And
has a
so cute.
little butterfly net and he's out trying to catch butterflies, which how fun is that? I mean,
I
that's
love
something
that.
you would never see
No,
in the parks any other time. And so it's really fun to kind of see those differences.
I think it's a
Um,
great, I mean, if you're a regular visitor, right? And this is just a different experience of Disney World, right? Like, and like you said, it's probably never going to be a chance to see this again. This is
yeah.
your chance to go. I'm going at the end of October, and I'm looking forward to it. So, where did you stay on this trip?
So I stayed at Pop Century.
I love Pop Century. And what was the experience like at the hotel?
So hotel had the same protocols. We actually didn't have to have a temperature check to enter the hotel. That was one difference between that and the theme parks, but did have to have the mask on at all times, walking through the lobby, everything like that. We got to ride the Skyliner. Skyliner is up and running. It's amazing to get to Epcot and Hollywood Studios.
I
So super
love
big perk
that.
of staying at Pop Century. You
Yeah.
don't have to rely on those buses, but um, hotel room was super clean. They even had the TV remote like in a plastic bag that had been sanitized.
Nice.
So we felt very safe and clean there with all of that. You
I
do have the
really,
option.
I was just gonna say, I really like the resorts that where you enter the room from the outside, where there's no like hallways and stuff where people tend to get congested and there's a lot of people. So, I mean, I switched my resort to Old Key West for October for that reason. We were going to stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I was like, that's just a lot of like hallways and like inside spaces. And I'd like to say somewhere where
Long
it's
hallways.
right. Exactly. And I was like, I would like to just be somewhere I'm outside all the time. So like Pop Century is a great one. And we're staying at Old Key West where you enter the units all from the outside. So that's just things to think about if you're looking for really to be at ease and not worry about exposure and be comfortable. Like think about those resorts where the moderates, I guess, what moderates are open now?
So Caribbean Beach, I believe, opened yesterday.
Okay. And
double check
Coronado, was Coronado Springs open?
So Coronado is hosting the NBA. So they are
Oh.
open, but not to the public.
Yeah, cool. Okay. And then
the cabins at Fort Wilderness are open and available. They are technically considered a moderate over at the campgrounds, which I know Leah loves as well.
I do. I love the campground. Cool. Well, that's what I expected at the hotel, that it would be, same. And I've stayed at hotels recently. And my main thing was like concerns about the hallways and then the elevators. So did they have signage up? Did you have to ride the elevators?
We did. So we were on the second floor, and because I had my 3-year-old, I did have a stroller. So we did ride the elevator. There's actually hand sanitizer right outside of the elevator. So you can wash your hands touching the buttons every floor. And there is a sign that asks that you limit it to no more than 4 people and no more than 1 party per ride. So they really discourage you from hopping on the elevator with other families.
Yeah, that's what happened at the first time we went to a hotel here in North Carolina. And like everyone wanted to jump on the eleletor with us. And we're like,
really?
No, thank you.
Wow.
Don't mean to be rude, but why don't you just wait your turn? So people, they're catching on to it. Yes.
We didn't have any trouble with that. And I mean, really, people were compliant. Good. For the most part. Guests seemed to be very gracious and understanding about it. And, you just wait for your next turn on the elevator and it's all part of it. I feel like for the most part, people have those expectations. If you're visiting right now, things are different. Yes. And so you'll have to adjust, how you visit the parks. And
so did you take Magical Express?
I did.
How was that?
Same thing, social distancing. They actually on Magical Express are leaving 2 rows of seats open between parties.
And did you have to wear your masks on the Magical Express?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then the same for the buses going to the parks. Are there like
same thing with social distancing. So depending on the bus, most of the buses seem to have room for 5 to 6 families.
Okay.
And like the back half of the bus has the upstairs, like you have the 2 steps to get up.
Mm-hmm.
And so for those, because depending on how the bus, some they have like the aisle that goes down the middle and they have the seats that are like next to each other, and others it's almost like a U-shaped seat.
Right.
They do have dividers up there, so they can split that between families as well. So they have big like metal plastic dividers there.
Oh, wow.
So that, and they're all numbered. So when you board a bus, you get a number. So your group seats number 1, number 2, number 3, and the seats are marked. And then there's seats in between, even around the dividers, that are marked do not use, not available. So say you had a larger party of say 6 or 8 guests, you had grandma and grandpa with you, you have multiple kids, you may end up with 2 groups of seats to split between.
Assigned seating on the buses? What? I love it.
Right? There's nobody standing and falling on top of you. There's no crazy, packed buses anymore. Yeah. Again, a huge positive. That's actually a really nice change.
I know. I would be like, where is my assigned seat on the bus? I am number 4. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know any of this. So I'm learning a lot too. And I'm sure my listeners will learn a lot. It's fascinating. Hang with us for a quick ad break. This episode of the Budget Mouse podcast is brought to you by my online course, Disney World Made Easy, that will help you plan a trip to Walt Disney World without the overwhelm. I virtually hold your hand and walk you through planning a Disney World vacation with 7 video lessons, and each has a printable as well. The lessons are delivered every day through your email for a week, so you can pace yourself and learn everything you need to know to plan a Disney World vacation without feeling completely confused and overwhelmed. And my podcast listeners can save 40% off the regular price of the course, which is $28, by entering the promo code podcast, all in capital letters, at checkout. You can learn more about the course at thebudgetmouse.com/course. Now back to the show. So what about dining? Did you do mostly quick service? Did you have any reservations? And what were the menus like? Are they modified? And tell us about your dining experience.
So obviously they don't have dining plans, which I've done both. And if we're going to eat in the parks, I much prefer to have a dining plan because as most people know, can be quite expensive to eat in the parks. So we did adjust our reservations somewhat accordingly with not having a dining plan anymore. But I did make sure to go do the Garden Grill because it's the only character dining in any of the parks right now.
Right. And then the only other one is Topolino's Terrace, or are there any others?
Yep.
No. Okay.
That's breakfast at Riviera right now with characters. Garden Grill is doing lunch and dinner.
Okay. Nice. What was that like?
Food was phenomenal. And I actually really liked how they did the setup at Garden Grill. So if you're familiar with the restaurant and have been there, there's 2 levels of seating. I know Leah will know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And so the restaurant rotates on the bottom. And so they actually have the whole second level portion blocked off. Nobody is sitting up there. And that's where the characters come around.
Oh, so smart.
So they come and they, I don't want to say will hang over your table, but they stand right behind your table to talk to you. And so you can get pictures with the characters, again, at a distance, but without your mask on.
Oh, nice.
Which is a huge perk there because at that point, you're really no different than it always has been as far as your character pictures, except
I love that. I didn't know that they were doing that. That's wonderful. Wow, that's going to be a coveted reservation.
It is, and they've eliminated breakfast, but the food at Garden Grill is phenomenal.
I love the food. I would eat that every day.
It is flank steak.
So
it is turkey. It is these buttery mashed potatoes, green beans, a corn and lima bean mix. It is phenomenal. And then the berry cake for dessert.
Oh, so good.
I promise you will love the food, and the characters are just an extra bonus on top of it.
Yes, wonderful. So you did that. Did you do any other table service?
Yep. Oh, and then I did want to mention they are giving character autograph cards.
Oh, cool.
Little postcards for the kids so that they have something because they obviously can't sign autograph books for the time being. So you do leave with that in hand as well.
That's awesome.
We did do a few other table service meals. We did Liberty Tree Tavern at Magic Kingdom, just to kind of give us another sit down there. And that one served family style, all you can eat to the table. So that the food's always really good, especially the ooey toffee cake.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Delicious dessert.
So good.
We ate at Planet Hollywood at Disney Springs. I was a little bit concerned with how busy Disney Springs was going to be. It just happened to be that we were having dinner there on a Friday night. So I really wanted a reservation there. With social distancing, tables being marked off, I was really concerned about what quick service would look like. Yeah. Because there really aren't limits technically on Disney Springs attendance like there are the theme parks. So they are still temperature screening, and they have the social distancing as far as, getting into stores and tables at your restaurants. But there can still be a lot of people at Disney Springs, especially on your Friday and Saturday nights. So we did Planet Hollywood for dinner. Food was actually really good. I know a lot of times it gets mixed reviews, but I had a pasta dish. My kids had my daughter had spaghetti, and my son had the chicken, and everybody's food was really good. And it was relatively reasonably priced as far as Disney dining goes. So that was another big plus.
I haven't been there in years.
I hadn't been since they redid it, and they had painted it all black and everything. I mean, inside, still has some of the movie memorabilia, and they have the big TVs. Our table actually had a TV inside of it, which my kids thought was the coolest thing. And how can we get one at our house? And so they were really impressed. No. My daughter just didn't understand why she couldn't turn the channel because it was music videos. And she's like, well, I don't want to watch this, but
that's cute. Good. What kind of quick service did you do?
So the big thing with quick service is I highly, highly recommend mobile ordering.
Definitely. So I do that anyway, regardless.
And that's what, they've offered it. And, if it's been available, it's great. You don't have to wait in the line.
Yeah.
But almost all of the locations are pushing quick service or pushing mobile order, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you mobile order, you have to show that your order's ready to be allowed into the location. So we did everything Pop, the food court at the Pop Century Hotel. We did Cosmic Rays. We did Pecos Bills. We did Pizza Rizzo. We did...
I love all those places.
Yeah, we did Restaurantosaurus at Animal Kingdom.
Cool. So I have a good blog post that's really detailed about how a mobile order works. And I assume it's probably working the same way.
Yep, mobile order works the same way, but like I said, it is so important right now.
Yeah.
There's typically one register open, if that, for people who are not using mobile order. Yeah. So you will wait in a very, very long line to eat if you do not take advantage of mobile order. So definitely check out that blog post. Make sure
I'm going to link to it in
do
the
it.
notes. Yeah, absolutely.
It will make all the difference. And go ahead and do that, 15, 20 minutes before you plan to eat, because you'll have to select your arrival window. And depending on how busy the locations are, you may not get a time within the next, few minutes.
Oh, that is different. So, you didn't have to do that in the past. Select what time you're going to pick it up.
Yep. So what it is it'll give you a time. And if the location isn't busy, it'll give you a half-hour window. It'll say, so say right now it's 12 o'clock p.m. It'll say now to 12:30.
Okay.
Or say it's 12 o'clock and they're really busy. It may tell you your window doesn't open till 12:30 to 1 or 1 to 1:30, or it could be in between. There could be, 12:20 to 12:50.
It's
but
like,
you'll have to have that time.
Picking up my groceries at the grocery store. You have to pick a time to come and pick them up.
Yes, you have your time slot. And then once that time window opens, then you go to the location and there's a little button that will say, I'm here, prepare my order. So you'll click that. And then once your order's ready, you'll have the location. It'll give you a pickup number because there's different, windows, counters for you to pick up at all the locations. And then once you have that your order's ready at a pickup window, then you'll show a cast member and be allowed to enter the restaurant. They're not allowing you to enter before your order is ready to keep social distancing. They don't want a bunch of people crowded together waiting for their food. So you do wait outside. It just sounds
so organized. I love it.
It really is.
As someone who appreciates organization and structure, I love it.
Disney has done this so well thought out, taking care of the guests. It takes a little bit of advanced planning to, make sure you do the mobile order. But walking up, getting your food, going right to a table, not having to, search around for that and wait for that. It's really nice.
It all sounds really nice, to be honest. Like I would definitely, the major negative of all of this is just wearing a mask, right? Everything else is like a positive to me. Granted, not being able to get up close with the characters and stuff. And, there's the no fireworks and what have you, no parades and fireworks and stuff, or shows. There are certain attractions that are clearly not operating, right? Because they are shows, or are they still?
Well, so it depends on the attraction. For example, Mickey's PhilharMagic at Magic Kingdom. Yeah. Still operating. They have every other row marked off, and they also have in the rows that are open only 4 seats in a row. I guess is the best way to say it, are available. So they have 4 seats and then they have seats blocked off. So if you have a party of more than 4 people, you actually will essentially split into 2 parties for seating at shows like that.
Well, that's fine though.
And right, absolutely. And the shows, even still with the social distancing, they still don't even completely fill the theater. Yeah. Because you also have to social distance in the queue to get your glasses and all of that. So, people are not right on top of you. So you do still have some of that, but like your theater shows, the Frozen Sing-Along show, the Beauty and the Beast show at Hollywood Studios, the Disney Junior show, Indiana Jones, none of those are operating right now.
Right. But the movies, like the 3D, 4D movies, they still are. Is A Bug's Life or Tough to Be a Bug still going?
I didn't do that one. My daughter and I are not a fan of bugs crawling under our butts, so we often skip that one.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I don't like
Do you
that part,
really?
but I like the show. It's funny.
The stink bug and
Oh,
ooh.
I like that show. I just watch the people around me and their reactions because, like, I love
Because they have no
that.
idea what's coming.
Yeah. I want to relive
Sorry,
it.
spoil alert. If you
I'm,
haven't done It's Tough to Be a
oh,
Bug, we probably just
sorry.
ruined it for you.
No. Oh, just, I don't know. Maybe I'll put an alert into the podcast and say, don't listen if you want to be
If you want to be
surprised.
surprised.
Spoiler ahead. Nope, sorry. We're just going to spoil it for you. Well, that is wonderful. But yeah, I mean, all of this sounds for the most part positive. Yes, there are negatives. And yes, I mean, there is inherent risk. Like Disney makes it clear that going to any place where there are lots of people carries with it the risk, right?
Right.
But they're doing everything possible to mitigate the risk. And I think what we're seeing now at this point, because this is, the end of July, is that it is definitely possible to stay safe if everyone follows the rules, right? If everyone wears a mask, if everyone social distances, then nobody gets sick. It's wonderful, right?
Absolutely. And the Orange
So,
County Task Force did come out this week at one of their meetings and confirmed that the parks had been open more than 2 weeks, and as of now, knock on wood, at this point, there has not been any cases traced back or linked to any of the theme parks,
wow.
including Universal, SeaWorld, all of your Orlando theme parks.
Yeah. I mean, in time will tell if there will be more, but really, I mean, what we're seeing is that if everyone follows all of the rules that are in place that we have figured out at this point how to keep people safe, we just need everyone to do it, right? And I think if you've
Absolutely.
gone to all the trouble to go to Disney World, to spend all the money, to travel and everything, you're probably going to follow the rules, right? Because you want to be there.
Yes. Yes. And on that note, there are cast members making sure that you are following the rules.
Yeah. Good.
My daughter, sometimes if she got excited and would talk, her mask would start to slip just to the bottom of her nose. Cast members would notice that and come up and ask me to please pull her mask back up. She was just excited
Wow.
and talking, and they are constantly watching you to make sure that you are compliant, you are following the rules, and keeping everyone safe.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
So,
Good. I guess it might seem intense to people, but
yep.
it's required. Like they have to be that intense because it's your health and well-being on the line. And like Disney's whole brand is about, the happiest place and the safest place and the most wonderful place. So of course they want everyone to be safe.
Right. And so, the better this goes,
Yeah.
the sooner we'll be able to get those nighttime
Right.
fireworks back, the daily parades, and
Right.
more of the attractions, open again, and character dining and all those experiences that we've always known and loved at Disney.
Yeah, because they'll figure out a way to do it safely, right? Like they have with this stuff at this point. Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience. Is there anything else that I missed to ask you about?
I don't know. I've had a couple emails and it's like, there's so much I can say.
Yeah,
Like, you got to
so
tell me where
much.
you want me to go with
Right?
this, because
No,
there's so much information
I
that,
learned so much though. I learned so much about the protocols and what's in place there. I mean, I didn't know any of that. And that's the kind of like, you have to talk to someone who's physically there. Like it just came back. It's fresh in your mind. So
I mean, obviously the online check-in has always been available. It is more important now. They are asking all guests, if at all possible. I mean, you can still check in at the front desk, but they're strongly encouraging you to do that on the app. When you do the online check-in, it does give you the option to either decline mousekeeping altogether if you don't want anyone coming in and out of your room for your safety, or they do offer it every other day.
Okay.
As far as towel changes, they are still doing a safety check, so they can still come in, and a lot of times they'll empty trash if you have trash in the room.
Nice.
But you can always, let them know if you don't want them touching your things, making the bed, touching your towels, things like that.
Yeah, great. I like that. I can't think of anything else, but thank you again for taking the time to be on. I think people are going to learn a lot and hopefully be encouraged to go. I mean, that's the idea, is like, do not be deterred. I mean, it just depends on what kind of visitor you are. If you're like looking for the trip of a lifetime and you want the full effect, like you should probably wait. But if you're okay with everything that you have described and you want the benefit of less waiting, right? Because
If you're
that
there for rides, it's a great
amazing.
time to be in the parks because you can
Yes.
do so many
Oh my
attractions. Even without the
gosh.
fast pass, you are accomplishing so much in a short
Right.
amount of
That
time.
is so appealing to me, like to not have to deal with the weights and the strategy. I mean, you can be more spontaneous, right?
Right, right. You don't have to plan your
No,
trip 6, 8, 12 months
no.
out. If
I
you
mean, you
want to
can't.
plan a last minute summer vacation, an
Yeah.
early fall vacation, you can.
Yeah, I
And,
love
if you're
that.
comfortable traveling, don't have underlying health conditions, it's a great time to be in the parks.
Yes, good. Well, thank you, Sierra.
Thanks for having me. If
Yes.
anybody has questions, let us know.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. You can find me on either of my websites, thefrugalsouth.com or thebudgetmouse.com. Just leave a comment and I will get back to you there. You can email me directly if you'd like. It's Leah, Leah, at thebudgetmouse.com. You can find me on Facebook in the Budget Mouse Facebook group. Just search for The Budget Mouse on Facebook, ask to join, and an admin will add you to the group. I'm also on Instagram at The Budget Mouse and Pinterest as well. So thanks again and have a magical day.